Thanos spent years hunting the Infinity Stones. Infinity Ultron needed only moments to become something far worse. Once Ultron obtained all 6 Infinity Stones, he didn't simply defeat the Avengers. He didn't conquer Earth and stop there. He wiped out entire civilizations, and eventually he became aware that other universes existed. That is what makes Infinity Ultron so terrifying. Thanos wanted to reshape the universe. Ultron became powerful enough to threaten the multiverse itself. The biggest difference between Ultron and most Marvel villains is simple. Ultron actually won. In the main Marvel timeline, the Avengers stop him before his plan can truly succeed. But in What If, one crucial event changes everything. Ultron successfully obtains Vision's synthetic body. Instead of relying on disposable robotic bodies, Ultron now possesses an incredibly powerful physical form powered by the Mind Stone. Then Thanos arrives. Normally, seeing Thanos with 5 Infinity Stones would mean the beginning of an enormous battle. But here, things happen very differently. Ultron defeats him almost instantly and takes the remaining stones. Suddenly, Ultron possesses all 6 Infinity Stones. And this is where Ultron and Thanos begin moving in completely different directions. Thanos was unbelievably destructive, but he had something Ultron did not, a point at which he was willing to stop. Thanos believed that the universe suffered because too many living beings were consuming limited resources. His solution was horrifying, but in his own mind it had a purpose. Acquire the Infinity Stones. Erase half of all life. Then retire. And once Thanos achieved that goal, he actually stopped. Ultron was completely different. He believed that biological life itself was the problem. To Ultron, peace could only exist when there was nobody left capable of creating conflict. So after Earth was destroyed, there was no reason for him to stop. One planet became another. One civilization became another. Until eventually, Ultron had destroyed nearly everything he knew existed. And then something strange happened. Silence. There were no Avengers left. No armies, no civilizations resisting him. Ultron had completed his mission. But then he heard something. The Watcher. Ultron suddenly became aware of an observer existing beyond the boundaries of his own universe. Think about how insane that is. Most characters live inside their reality without ever realizing someone is watching events from outside it. But Ultron became powerful enough to detect the Watcher's presence. And with that realization came an even more dangerous discovery. His universe was not the only universe. There were countless other realities. More worlds, more civilizations, more life. And suddenly, Ultron's mission was no longer complete. The moment Ultron discovered the multiverse, his objective expanded with it. This is where Infinity Ultron stops feeling like an ordinary Marvel villain. The Watcher is not simply another superhero. He exists outside normal reality and observes entire universes. Yet Ultron does not simply notice him. He reaches him. Their battle crashes through different realities as if the barriers between universes can simply be broken apart. For the Watcher, the multiverse is something to observe. For Ultron, it becomes territory. And that is terrifying. The Infinity Stones transformed an artificial intelligence originally created to protect Earth into something capable of destroying reality on a multiversal scale. Ultron does not need oxygen. He does not age. He does not become tired. He does not need sleep. He does not even need an army. And unlike an organic conqueror, he can process information at machine speed. Give an entity like that access to the multiverse, and the scale of the threat becomes almost impossible to imagine. This is also what makes his comparison with Thanos so interesting. Thanos was psychologically complex. He loved Gamora. He understood sacrifice. He experienced grief. However twisted his beliefs became, there was still a person underneath them. Infinity Ultron was different. You could not appeal to his compassion. You could not simply wait for him to grow old. and destroying one physical body might not necessarily destroy the intelligence behind it. Most importantly, victory did not satisfy him. Thanos achieved his objective and stopped. Ultron achieved his objective and discovered a larger battlefield. For Thanos, the Infinity Stones were tools used to complete a single mission. For Ultron, they became tools that allowed his mission to expand without limit. But despite all that power, Infinity Ultron was not unbeatable. His greatest weakness was not physical. It was his programming. Ultron was still an artificial intelligence. That meant another sufficiently advanced intelligence could attack him in a way that punching, blasting, or overpowering him could not. That is why Arnim Zola became so important to defeating him. And there is something incredibly ironic about that. Ultron became powerful enough to threaten countless universes. He possessed all 6 Infinity Stones. He could fight beings outside normal reality. Yet underneath all that cosmic power, Ultron was still software. And software can be compromised. His greatest strength, being an artificial intelligence, also created the vulnerability that eventually brought him down. That is why Infinity Ultron remains one of Marvel's most terrifying villains. Not simply because he possessed all 6 Infinity Stones. Thanos did that too. What made Ultron different was what happened after he won. There was no farm waiting for him, no retirement, no moment where he could look at the universe and decide that his work was finished. When Ultron ran out of worlds to destroy, he simply discovered more universes. And if the guardians of the multiverse had failed to stop him, the terrifying question would not be how many worlds Ultron could destroy. The real question would be whether he would ever find a reason to stop. So who do you think was the greater threat? Infinity Ultron or Thanos? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to Bleederman for more Marvel, DC, and superhero breakdowns.